You ever hear about a government project and immediately think, there's no way taxpayer money funded this? And then you look it up, and somehow, not only is it true, it's worse than you thought. Because governments throughout history have spent billions of dollars on projects so unbelievably dumb, they sound like rejected plots from a bad Bollywood writer.
To be fair, governments do important things too.
Absolutely. Roads, infrastructure, public safety. But sometimes they also spend $14 million studying whether shrimp get stressed while on treadmills.
That's gotta be fake news.
Oh, silly Tanner. We don't do fake news here. Welcome back to Waffle Ladders, the show where we examine the systems running society and occasionally discover those systems were assembled using glue sticks bought on a government contract. Low bidder. Let's climb the ladder. Number 10, the $600 toilet seat. This is classic government spending. At one point, the US military became famous for outrageously expensive equipment purchases. The legendary $600 toilet seat, one of the greatest symbols of government spending ever. Back in the 80s, reports surfaced that the Pentagon had paid absurd prices for military parts. The $600 toilet seat, a $400 hammer, a $7,000 coffee maker.
Please tell me the toilet seat at least had Wi-Fi.
Tanner, when the government buys something, it might not even come with attachment bolts. Now, to be fair, some of these prices included aerospace specifications, logistics, military contracting, replacement part markups, and more importantly, research costs. But the average American heard, the government bought a toilet seat that cost more than my refrigerator? And honestly, that's the part people remembered.
So technically it wasn't just a toilet seat.
Correct. It was a toilet seat wrapped in bureaucracy, which is somehow more expensive than silver. Number 9, Operation Acoustic Kitty. During the Cold War, the CIA had an incredible idea. What if we turned a cat into a spy?
No, come on.
Oh yes, they literally implanted a microphone and transmitter into a cat to eavesdrop on Soviet conversations, because apparently nobody involved had ever even met a cat.
Cats barely cooperate with gravity.
Exactly. You can't even get a cat to acknowledge its own name. There's an old joke saying something is difficult because it's like herding cats. And the CIA was like, this one's ready for espionage. The mission reportedly, you won't be surprised to hear, ended almost immediately when the cat wandered into traffic. Which honestly is about the most cat thing ever. Number 8, the flying aircraft carrier. The US Navy actually built these things in the 1930s. Real ones, not sketches, not concepts, actual giant flying aircraft carriers. They were called the USS Akron and the USS Macon. These monsters were nearly the length of the Titanic ship, filled with highly flammable gas and floating over cities.
That sentence somehow got worse every few words.
Inside the airship was basically a tiny airplane hangar. They carried small fighter planes called Sparrowhawks. And here's the insane part. The planes launched and docked mid-air using a giant skyhook.
Hold on, you're telling me pilots had to catch a flying metal trapeze underneath a blimp while airborne?
Correct. Humanity briefly turned warfare into Cirque du Soleil. The military loved the idea because these things could scout huge areas, stay airborne a long time, and launch recon planes far from ships. In theory, very futuristic. In reality, you created a gigantic floating target visible from another zip code.
And then filled it with hydrogen.
And you will not be surprised to hear that the USS Akron crashed in a storm in 1933 and killed most of the crew. Then the USS Macon also crashed a couple years later.
So the program ended because the giant explosive balloons kept falling out of the sky?
Shocking, I know. Number 7, the bridge to nowhere. Ah yes, one of the greatest government traditions. Building things nobody needs. At one point, lawmakers approved hundreds of millions of dollars for a bridge in Alaska, connecting a tiny town to a tiny island called Gravina, with a hilariously small population.
Exactly how small?
Well, are you sitting down? About 50 people. So they spent millions to connect to this island. The project became a symbol of wasteful spending nationwide.
Did they at least build it?
Oh, Tanner, silly rabbit, of course not. Well, look here. It just kind of ends. Now, me just being silly, I guess, believe that the ferry that is still in use is probably good enough for 50 people. And oh, did I mention that they kept some of the money anyway? Which somehow feels even more government.
Wait, Dad, I've got an idea.
Oh, what is this?
Okay, so it's a toilet seat. I'm pretty sure we can get at least $500 for it. Maybe $400.
What?
I've composed the marketplace listing, DOD toilet seat. It was $700, now it's $500. Offers accepted.
But this is from Amazon.
Turn it over.
Did you just print this out and put it on here?
Maybe.
Oh my gosh. Number 6, the African fly protein farm. Speaking of projects that combine questionable economics with dubious environmental benefit, how about a time a government splurged millions of pounds on an insect farm in Africa?
I feel like I'm already terrified of the answer.
Yes, the project was to fund a French company to build a massive 12,000-ton farm in Tunisia to produce protein powder, oil, and fertilizer from billions of black soldier flies. Yes, cute little guys, aren't they? This was meant to be a low-carbon feed for aquaculture, livestock, and pets.
A multi-million-pound farm dedicated to grinding flies into powder?
Correct. The absurdity? Critics warned that insect farming is financially unstable, with other companies in the sector going bankrupt. Even better, studies suggested this specific insect protein might actually be worse for the climate than simple soy.
So they spent millions on a financially risky project that might pollute more than the alternative?
That's government efficiency for you. And if the plan was ever to get people to start eating these products, consumer acceptance for eating insects remains very low, only about 20%. It's a massive investment with multiple red flags, proving that sometimes the problem isn't getting a project approved, it's getting a sensible one approved. Number 5, the giant concrete arrow project. Before GPS existed, the government built giant concrete arrows across America. Huge arrows in the ground, pointing directions for pilots, known as the Transcontinental Airway System. And it was finished in 1933 with 1,500 signs, and it covered about 18,000 miles.
Actually, that's kind of smart.
It is smart, but it's also not without its issues. Weather and invisibility issues could make it useless. Snow was very problematic. And if you think about it, to see these signs, the flight path is fairly tight, which could cause collision issues. With the advent of radio navigation, it became passé.
Honestly, that's less ridiculous than half the internet now.
Fair point. It is estimated that this system costs $150 million in today's dollars. And that's a deal. Number 4, the town powered by nuclear energy. Sort of. In the 1950s, governments got very excited about nuclear power. Too excited, actually. There were proposals for nuclear-powered airplanes, nuclear-powered vacuum cleaners, probably nuclear-powered sandwich makers. At one point, experiments involved trying to integrate reactors into all kinds of civilian concepts, including running a town off nuclear. Obviously way overkill. But remember, back then radiation was treated like cinnamon. Just sprinkle a little on there.
That could have led to the first glow-in-the-dark population in history.
Halloween costumes not needed. Number 3, the anti-tank dogs. The Soviet military once trained dogs to carry explosives underneath enemy tanks.
That's horrific.
Well, it could have worked because they were to drop off the explosives and return to the handler. However, and this turned out to be catastrophically dumb, the training of the dogs taught them to associate food with their own tanks. So during actual combat, many dogs reportedly ran back toward the enemy vehicles instead of getting out of the way. And this obviously ended in tragedy.
This is the saddest dumb idea in military history.
Yeah, war history is basically humans invent increasingly terrible ideas with confidence. Number 2, the gay bomb. Yes, this was real. At one point in 1994, the military explored the idea of non-lethal chemical weapons, but they would supposedly make enemy soldiers romantically attracted to each other.
I'm sorry, it made them turn gay?
Well, as crazy as it sounds, there is some evidence that certain chemicals can have strong aphrodisiac effects. It would be delivered as an aerosol, so it would be a non-lethal alternative to traditional bombing. Because apparently, somebody sat in the Pentagon office and thought, you know what wins wars? Confusion and awkward eye contact.
This sounds less like military strategy and more like a pet project for someone with a secret office crush.
Correct. And somehow taxpayer money got within breathing distance of it, actually trying to do it. Fortunately, taxpayers only had to pay for the initial research. Lastly, number 1, bureaucracy creates projects that only exist to continue existing. Here's the biggest dumb project of all. Programs that no longer make sense, but continue forever because no one wants to shut them down.
That happens a lot?
Yes, entire departments sometimes operate like office zombies. The original purpose disappears, the problem changes, the world changes, but the budget remains eternal. And sometimes it goes up, because once government projects exist, they become harder to remove than glitter from a carpet. My favorite is the U.S. Geological Survey, which was created in 1879 to map the American West, catalog mineral resources, and support westward expansion during the frontier era. That mission was completed long ago, you might know. The entire United States has been thoroughly mapped for over a century. Today it still receives $700 to $800 million per year, plus more in special appropriations to produce extremely detailed maps.
So they don't know about Google Earth?
Now you understand bureaucracy, Tanner, and why our national debt is so large. So there you have it. Look, governments do accomplish important things, but when massive organizations control massive amounts of money, you inevitably get waste, ridiculous ideas, overconfidence, and projects that sound fake, but absolutely happened.
So what's the lesson?
Maybe don't automatically assume every official project was designed by geniuses. Sometimes it was designed by committees, deadlines, panic, and a guy named Greg trying to secure next year's funding.
Greg ruins everything.
He certainly does. Hey, if you enjoyed this episode, hit the like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments what you think. What's the dumbest government project you've ever heard about? And as always, keep climbing. And in the morning, I'm making waffles.